Weekly Challenger in St. Petersburg is the oldest Black-owned and operated publication in West Coast Central Florida. The Weekly Challenger was the brainchild of Cleveland Johnson Jr., an advertising man who turned a weekly listing of ads for Black-owned businesses in St. Pete into more of a newspaper. He added stories and photographs and announcements, and that really became a historical record of the St. Pete Black community. The first edition was on September the 21st, 1967. Well, using modern technology, the Poynter Library at the USF St. Pete took on the role of digitizing and preserving the physical copies of the publication, some of them dating back more than 40, 50 years, and Christina is joining us now to talk about that. That is quite a big project.
It really is.
What condition were these early editions in?
So the ones that we were able to get, I think were in very good condition. My understanding is that the Johnson family did suffer a flood at one point, so unfortunately we don't have the earliest editions, but I think they had done a good job of saving what they could, and that's kind of where we come in. Libraries, we preserve things, we make them available, so thanks to a grant from the state, then State Representative Daryl Rousson.
Yes.
Yeah, he was able to get us a nice grant. We were able to purchase some high-tech equipment, document scanners, things like that, bring in some expertise, hire some students. We've got a great digital journalism program on our campus, so kind of have them help with the process, learn these processes, and be able to preserve what's there, what's still there. So you can go online today, they're open to the world, and they look gorgeous.
How many editions would you say are there?
So we have, the earliest we have is going back to 1973, so we have kind of sporadic in the 70s, and then picking up in the 80s, we have almost a full run up through present day.
It would have been fun to see the different stories that were making front page news. What are some of the examples that you talk to your students about?
I think it's really important, the things that were kind of focused on the St. Petersburg community, the Tampa Bay community, things that happened during that time period, but then also kind of national and international news, but from the perspective of that community. So things, but we're hearing other voices, you know, through that publication.
And so what was it like for the students that were part of that process to really get a glimpse? It's like going back in a little time machine, kind of.
It really is. I think it's eye-opening for them. I mean, I think it had an opportunity for them to kind of have points of connections that maybe they didn't realize. But the other thing, when, you know, we love dealing with physical things. It kind of makes history palpable. And I love the fact that students can still come today and look at the physical newspapers while anyone in the world can look at the digitized examples as well. So, and you know, they see themselves in it, and that's important too. And they see themselves as part of the community.
How complicated is that preservation process?
It's pretty complicated. Yeah, we had the opportunity to hire expertise, people who had that sort of digitization experience, photography experience. You probably may have delved into some of that as well. So someone like you, but then to teach our students, to teach our staff that, and then we have experts in things we call metadata. So categorize them so people can find them. You know, applying keywords, things like that. So it's complex, but then we want to make it as easy as possible to people to grasp.
And bringing in Neville into this, how important is it to have these tools, these modern technology, where you can take something that is exposed to the elements, even under the best of circumstances, right? When we save something in the air conditioner, there's still the aging process. How important are tools to the creatives like the two of you?
Well, first of all, being able to restore some of these things to something that we can actually see is part of that process. But also, you know, from our standpoint, is to get kids to be interactive and adults to be interactive with something that we use every day, our phone, right? So bringing in that information that you bring to us, which is valuable information, is our history. It's ways to create paths that we don't want to repeat, and some we do. But to give it new life, right? To give it new life in a digital world. And to your point about being able to spread it around the world. We can't pass that newspaper around to the world, but we can definitely digitize it and get it online and in museums like ours. So.
And I know, Sherelle, you've been a big mentor going back to your alma mater school, talking to young people.
Yes.
So I know that you've felt the excitement of students wanting to learn more about local history, whether or not they're African American, Hispanic or not. There's just an innate curiosity, I think, in this newer generation.
I agree. I think what's so impressive is not only allowing the students to have access, right, to historical facts and figures and insights, but more importantly, seeing what the world was like at that time, right? Oftentimes we forget that social media wasn't around, so there was an appreciation for interaction, and appreciation for land and all these other things. So I just really love the fact that you are building something that really aspires, right, students and anyone who has access to it, to really look at where they came from and think through the things that they could become, right? And so I love it.